Hello, this is MTG Sly Guy with another Magic the Gathering deck tech for the Battle for Zendikar Season of Standard. Today I'm going to be bringing you a deck that is more of a theory deck. It's a brand new deck that I actually just built this morning. I haven't played it yet, but I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to be sharing another video with you in the near future, so I figured while I have the chance I'll just quickly go over it and share it with you guys today. Starting off with the mana base, we have 4 Wooded Foothills, the green-red fetch land, 3 Windswept Heath, the green-white fetch land. Oddly enough, in this season of Standard, for Abzan, the Windswept Heath is actually one of the not as good fetch lands, because with the current mana setup, it actually only fetches you green and white mana, whereas something like Wooded Foothills, for instance, can fetch you all 3 colors, because you can use the green half to fetch the Canopy Vista, and the red half to fetch the, I want to say Smoldering Ruin? I'm sorry, I can't even remember what it's called, but it's the black-red. Yeah, Smoldering Marsh. So, Wooded Foothills can actually fetch you all 3 colors, whereas Windswept Heath can actually only fetch you green-white. So in this setup for this mana setup for the Season of Standard, Wooded Foothills is actually a better fetch than Windswept Heath. The same goes for Flooded Strand. It can also fetch you all 3 colors, because you can fetch the Canopy Vista or the Sunken. I want to say Sunken Hollow. Yeah, Sunken Hollow. So it can also fetch you all 3 colors. So the Wooded Foothills and the Flooded Strand can fetch you all 3 colors, whereas Windswept Heath can only fetch you green or white. So it's something to keep in mind for you guys when you're making your mana bases in this season of Standard. So yes, it's 4 Wooded Foothills, 3 Windswept Heaths, and 3 Flooded Strands. Then we have 2 Canopy Vista, it's the green-white slow land. 1 Smoldering Marsh, the black-red slow land, and 1 Sunken Hollow, the blue-black slow land. Then we have 2 Shambling Vents. It's the black-white man land from Battle for Zendikar. Enters tapped, or you can tap it for a black or white, or you can pay 1 white, 1 black, and 1 colorless, and it becomes a 2/3 white and black elemental creature with lifelink until end of turn. It's still a land. 1 Lenore Waste, the black-green pain land. 3 Sunstep Citadel, the Abzan Tri-land. 3 basic forests, 2 basic swamp, and 1 basic plains, for a total of 26 lands. This deck it has control elements. Mostly it's a ramp deck, Planeswalker deck. So a lot of the early drops are designed to give you value, and those are, in this deck, they're in the form of either being able to fetch lands out of my deck with Nissa, or give me Scion tokens that I can sacrifice for mana. So starting off with the 1-drops, we have 4 Blister Pod. It's a 1 green, 1/1 devoid. When it dies, you put a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token onto the battlefield. It has sacrificed this to add 1 colorless to your mana pool, so you can use it to ramp up. Next up, we have Catacomb Sifter, 1 colorless, 1 black, 1 green. It's a 2/3 with the void, and when it enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1 Eldrazi Scion token that you can sack for mana. And it says, whenever another creature you control dies, you scry 1, which is handy. Catacomb Sifter is a 3 of in this deck. Next up, we have 3 Den Protectors. Everyone pretty much knows what this does by now. It's 1 colorless, 1 green. It's a 2/1. Creatures with power less than Den Protector can't block it, and you can play it as a morph for 3 colorless, and then flip it up for 1 green and 1 colorless, and it gets a 1/1 counter on it. And when you do that, you can return a card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's good for getting value. It's a great value card, and yes, played in pretty much every green deck. Next up, we have 3 Nissa Vastwood Seer. For 2 colors, 1 green, she's a 2/2. When she enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic forest card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands, exile Nissa, then return her to the battlefield, transformed under her owner's control. And I'll just take a moment to show you the opposite side. She transforms into Nissa, Sage Animist. She comes onto the battlefield with 3 loyalty. She has a +1 ability that says reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. Her -2 ability is to put a legendary 4/4 green elemental creature token named Ashaya the Awoken World onto the battlefield. And that looks like this. And her -7 says untap up to 6 target lands. They become 6/6 elemental creatures, and they're still lands. So it's a pretty potent ultimate. Next up, we have 3 Liliana Heretical Healer. She's 1 colorless, 2 black. She's a 2/3 with lifelink. And it says, whenever another non-token creature you control dies, exile Liliana, and then return her to the battlefield transformed under her owner's control. If you do, put a 2/2 black zombie token, creature token, onto the battlefield. And I'll show you what she looks like. She transforms into Liliana, Defiant Necromancer. She also enters with 3 loyalty. She has a +2 ability that says each player discards a card. She has a -X ability that says return target non-legendary creature card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then she has a -8 that says you get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. And that emblem looks like that. And finally, for our creatures, we have 2 Wingmate Rock. 2 white, 3 colorless. It's a 3/4 flyer with a raid ability that if it enters the battlefield after you attacked, you get a 3/4 white bird creature token. And whenever Wingmate Rock attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking creature. Moving on to the non-creature spells, we have 2 Silk Wrap, 1 white, 1 colorless. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less than opponent controls until Silk Wrap leaves the battlefield. So it's great for getting rid of... the main reason it's in here is Hangerback Walkers. Those things are everywhere, and this just shuts that down. Also good for getting rid of things like Jace or other early threats. It's a 2 of. Next up, we have 4 Abzan Charm. 1 white, 1 green, 1 black. You can either exile a creature with power 3 or greater, draw 2 cards and lose 2 life, or distribute 2 unknown counters among 1 or 2 target creatures. So it pretty much does all the things. If you want to remove a big threat, it can do that. If you want to get card advantage, you can do that. And if you want to make your creatures bigger, it can do that too. So that's why it's a 4 of. Just a great card. Next up, we have 1 Utter End for 2 colorless, 1 white, and 1 black. Exile target non-land permanent. Pretty straightforward. Gets rid of creature threats, gets rid of planeswalkers, enchantments. Excuse me. Pretty much anything you need it to get rid of, it can do that. 1 Murderous Cut. 4 colorless, 1 black with Delve, destroy target creature. 2 Planar Outbursts for 3 colorless and 2 white. Destroy all non-land creatures. So if I get my Nissa ultimate, this is just really good because all those 6/6 dudes are still lands. But it has Awaken 4 for 5 colorless and 3 white. So I can destroy all non-land creatures and get a 4/4 land creature, which I can then attack with. So yeah, it's a 2 of. 1 Gideon Ally of Zendikar for 2 white, 2 colors and 2 white, enters with 4 loyalty. +1 ability says until end of turn, Gideon becomes a 5/5 human soldier ally creature with indestructible that's still a planeswalker. Prevent all damage that will be dealt to him this turn. 0 is to put a 2/2 white knight ally creature token onto the battlefield. That looks like this. And his -4 is you get an emblem with creatures you control get +1/+1. So you can play him and do that immediately to buff all your creatures. Give it a permanent Lord effect. So he's only 1 of because I only have 1. I pulled him out of a pack the other day, and he's like, I don't know, he's like $40 or $45 or something. So I haven't really invested in getting more. So yeah, he's a 1 of. Next up, If he ends up being really good in the deck, I might look into buying another one. Sorin Solemn Visitor is a 2 colorless, 1 white, 1 black, enters with 4 loyalty. He has a +1 ability that says until your next turn, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain lifelink. The really important thing to remember, a lot of people think this is until end of turn, but it's actually until your next turn. So your creatures will all get buff and lifelink on your opponent's turn 2 for blocking, which is really handy. His -2 is to get a 2/2 black vampire creature token with flying onto the battlefield. And that looks like this. And then he has a -6, which says you get an emblem with, at the beginning of your opponent's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. That looks like this. And so yeah, Sorin is a 2 of. Then we have Obnixilis Reignited. For 3 colors and 2 black, he enters with 5 loyalty. He has a +1 that says you draw a card and you lose 1 life. -3 is destroy target creature. And -8 is target opponent gets an emblem with whenever player draws a card, you lose 2 life. So whenever any player draws a card, they'll lose 2 life. I don't have that emblem to show you, but yeah, it's a pretty sweet ultimate. Obnixilis is just a really good card. He gives you card advantage, and he destroys a threat. Very control-y planeswalker. Speaking of control-y planeswalkers, finally we have 2 Ugin the Spirit Dragon. For 8 mana, he enters with 7 loyalty. He has a +2 ability that says Ugin the Spirit Dragon deals 3 damage to target creature or player. He has a -X ability that says exile each permanent with converted mana cost X or less, that's 1 or more colors. And then his -10 is you gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, then put 7 permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. So that's pretty much I win, -10. So that's it for the main board. As you can see, it's sort of like a mid-rangey control deck that uses Scions to help ramp you up into your bigger spells and also protect you until you can get up to those bigger spells. And all the planeswalkers, it's a deck that's only been I haven't actually played it yet, so hopefully it works out. We'll see. I'll probably make an update video for this deck once I take it to a few events. But yes, moving on to the sideboard, we have 2 more Silk Wraps, 4 Irrational Clerics for the aggro matchup. 1 colorless, 1 white, 1/3. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. 2 Complete Disregard. 2 colorless, 1 black. It has a Devoid. Exile target creature with power 3 or less. So again, for the smaller creatures. 1 Crux of Fate, just for if I'm facing a dragon deck. Those decks do exist still. There's Mardu dragons and Esper dragons that I've seen at my LGS. So for 3 colorless and 2 black, choose 1 destroy all dragon creatures or destroy all non-dragon creatures. So it can also act as another Wrath against the deck. And 2 Languish, 2 colorless, 2 black, all creatures get -4, -4 until end of turn. 2 Evolutionary Leap, for 1 colorless and 1 green. I can pay, it's an enchantment that says pay 1 green and sacrifice a creature, then reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Then put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom in a random order. And then finally, 2 Ruinous Path, 1 colorless, 2 black, destroy target creature or planeswalker, and has Awaken 4 for 7 mana. So I can destroy a creature or planeswalker and make a 4/4 land. These are in here just for the other planeswalker decks, because there's so many planeswalkers in Standard right now. I mean, between all the Origins planeswalkers and, you know, Jace especially, and then you have Gideon from Battle for Zendikar, which is seeing a lot of play. I just feel it's important that I have something that destroys them directly. And as you can see, based on my sideboard, I can pretty much turn this deck from a mid-rangey control deck into a straight-up control deck. You know, put in Silk Wraps and Crux and Disregards and Ruinous Paths and Languishes. I can convert it from being a mid-rangey control deck into just a straight-up control deck. And I also have the Irrations for the aggro matchup. And Evolutionary Leap for the control matchup. If my opponent wants to start trying to remove my creatures, I can just sack them. And I do have, I think, 12 Planeswalkers in the deck, but 6 of them are actually creatures, so I can find them with my Evolutionary Leap. And, I mean, Liliana especially transforms relatively easy in this deck, especially if I have something like Evolutionary Leap, because I can sack a creature at instant speed and have her get exiled. So if my opponent tries to remove my Liliana, I can sack, say, a Blister Pod or a Catacomb Sifter or something, expendable, and transform her at instant speed, and then it dodges the removal and she comes back as a Planeswalker. So I'm excited to test this deck out and see exactly how it does and if it synergizes well, and it can help me survive until I get up to my big bombs like Ugin. We will see. As I said, after I take it to a few events, I'll post an update video and let you all know how it's doing. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, feel free to like and comment and subscribe to my channel, and comment on anything that you like about my deck or things that you might suggest. And thank you very much for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.